Welcome to I24 News Sports Magazine, and today with a special edition, we call it our Sports Legend Show. Some legendary figures left us this last year. Not all of them were athletes, but all had an immense contribution to the world of sport, and now we give them the honor and look back at their achievements. Nelson Mandela, who died last December at the age of 95, will forever be a South African icon, the man who showed the world that even after 27 years of prison, it's still possible to find the path to reconciliation. He brought his once shunned country to the family of nations, not only in politics but also in sports. Mandela is personally seen as the man who brought the Rugby World Cup to South Africa, a tournament the host country won, and even more so the Football World Cup in 2010. Ori Bang with the story of this great leader.
Nelson Mandela, the father of the South African nation, who died at the age of 95, was not only a world-renowned leader, but also a key figure in putting South Africa back on the sports map after years of boycott due to apartheid.
Thank you very much.
This tribute by the South African Rugby Sevens team at the Bay Stadium in Port Elizabeth, named after Mandela himself, tells the story of a sports nation which owes its dues to one man. Since Mandela was released from prison in 1990 after 27 years, he saw sports as a chance to heal the wounds of the post-apartheid nation, bridging the gap between blacks and whites. Just 1 year after apartheid ended, the 1995 Rugby World Cup was the first international sporting event to take place in South Africa. Mandela, then the first black president of South Africa, supported the national team, and even though the team was mostly white, the Springboks managed to bring a nation united and eventually win the tournament for the first time after beating New Zealand in the finals. Mandela granting the trophy to Captain Francois Pienaar was a defining moment in South Africa's history and sports legacy.
David, we didn't have 60,000 South Africans. We had 43 million South Africans.
Winning the cup is still considered a key moment in South Africa, one that changed history.
The moment that stands out is the winning of the Rugby World Cup. There can never be anything compared to that. It is a moment that everyone, black and white, exploded and they began to understand what it means to be a South African.
Today, President Mandela takes office in Pretoria.
The historic win was portrayed in a 2009 film Invictus, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Morgan Freeman as Mandela and Matt Damon as Pienaar.
7 minutes. Defense, defense, defense. This is it. This is our destiny.
9 years after the Rugby World Cup, Mandela managed to make another sports dream come true.
The 2010 FIFA World Cup will be organized in South Africa.
South Africa became the first African country to host the World Cup, a tournament that swept the South Africans off their feet, celebrating the games with euphoria and hope for a better future. Mandela was an avid sports fan and was admired by many sportsmen around the world, from Pelé to David Beckham to Tiger Woods. Nelson Mandela believed in propelling sports as a multiracial bridge till his very last day. The black and white athletes coming to pay condolences proved that his mission to make sports thrive beyond colors became a reality.
Sport has the power to change the world.
Nelson Mandela showed us all how one man with a sole determination can change the entire future of a whole nation. In today's world, football stars are sometimes rich and spoiled individuals, often distancing themselves from the fans, but it was not always like that. Eusebio, the Black Panther, was one of the greatest footballers in history, Portugal's favorite son, but also someone who never forgot his roots, his humble days playing in the streets of his native Mozambique. The man who led Portugal to the greatest World Cup success, the third place in 1966, died 3 months ago. The love and appreciation for him was not only expressed in Portugal, but throughout the world. Ori Bang with a report.
Portugal is mourning the loss of its beloved football icon Eusebio, who died from a heart attack at the age of 71 in his Lisbon home. 3 days of national mourning were declared as an act of respect to its greatest player ever.
Portugal lost today one of its dearest sons, Eusebio de Silva Ferreira. The country is in mourning. It is with much sadness that Portugal sees one of its national symbols go.
Eusebio da Silva Ferreira was born in Mozambique and raised in a poor society. His football skills were developed on the streets of then-capital Lourenço Marques, and at 18 he moved to Lisbon, joining Portuguese giants Benfica. Eusebio would play 15 years for Benfica and become its all-time leading scorer with 638 goals in 614 official games, as well as leading the club to win the European Cup in 1962. The Black Panther from Mozambique became Portugal's favorite son, helping its national team to reach third in the 1966 World Cup, a tournament he finished as its leading scorer with 9 goals. Eusebio would score 41 goals and 64 caps for Portugal and was also the first Portuguese player to win the European Footballer of the Year award in 1965, as well as the first player to win the European Golden Shoe award in 1968. Eusebio's untimely death caught the football world by surprise, with many players, past and present, remembering the legendary striker.
Eusebio is a national and international figure. The world will be mourning because we have lost not only an exceptional player, but also an exceptional man.
Eusebio was an absolutely fantastic player, and for me, he would get into my all-time great side. So yes, he would be in the top 10 without any question.
Not only Portugal paid tribute to Eusebio. Manchester United and Swansea applauded the late star before their FA Cup match. United has history with Eusebio, as Manchester and Benfica met in the 1968 European Cup final at Wembley Stadium, where the English side won 4-1.
When you play for Manchester United, you get a chance to play with some great players, especially back in the 60s. And you also get that chance of playing against world-class players. And that's what Eusebio was.
Back in Portugal, many fans gathered to pay tribute to Eusebio outside of Benfica's Estádio da Luz, putting scarves and flowers on a statue located outside the stadium. Fans started chanting his name like he scored a goal when his coffin was brought to the stadium. For these fans, Eusebio was a lot more than just a football player. Like Portuguese fado music or port wine, he was a national symbol, one who will forever remain in their hearts.
The Champions League final next month will be played in Benfica's Estádio da Luz. We think this would be yet another opportunity for one more tribute to this giant player. Now to a local story. Arik Einstein was one of the most influential cultural figures in Israel starting in the 60s. Einstein was known especially as the most popular Israeli singer. Previously, he was also an actor. And one more thing, a huge sports fan. Einstein was the Israeli high jump record holder at an early age, but his energies were dedicated more than all to support his favorite club, Hapoel Tel Aviv. When Arik Einstein passed away this past November, the Red Club organized an event in his memory ahead of one of their games, an event that was all about music, culture, and the love of sports.
On a chilly evening at the Bloomfield Stadium in Jaffa, Hapoel Tel Aviv Football Club held a tribute event to one of its most famous fans. Arik Einstein, an Israeli musical icon, proclaimed by many as the country's national singer, passed away 2 weeks ago, and his death, like his lifetime work, had a massive impact on Israeli society. Einstein was an avid sports fan and a former athlete in his teen years. He was a fan of a Hapoel team all his life, devoting some of his well-known songs to his beloved club. Hapoel Tel Aviv decided to dedicate a tribute in his honor before the team's match against Ashdod Sports Club, gathering several artists to sing his songs.
It's known that Arik was Hapoel's #1 fan, but he also knew how to be patient and combine sport to music and culture, and especially to unite people, and it's really great to see it.
Dori Ben-Zeev, a famous radio personality and a close friend of Einstein, sang a song which became one of the team's anthems. He's been told, telling the story of a club's miserable fan. One of the famous lines refers to Hapoel's red shirt, claiming ironically that it's not a great bargain, referring to the days when the team wasn't in top form. But for the many fans in the stands, the red shirt meant everything as they sang the lines wholeheartedly.
יש פה המון רגש, ויש פה שנים רבות של המון התכנסות
There's a lot of emotion, many years of convergence in losses and laughter and tears mixed together, and the song's mentioning that red team, and it's great that this is being done.
Fans of all ages came to share their mutual respect for Einstein, with families singing together the words of his songs that became pivotal in Israeli culture. One of Einstein's famous songs was "You and I Will Change the World," and the riff coming out of Avi Singola's guitar shattered the Bloomfield Stadium.
He always loved football and Hapoel, and he loved every kind of sport there is. And even when we were working in the studio, he would say, "Let's finish at 2, because there's a football match, let's go."
Even though Einstein recorded till his last days, he hasn't performed in 3 decades and stayed away from the public eye, a fact that his friends acknowledged.
Arik wouldn't arrive to the event. You know that he didn't like to perform. But he's surely sitting up there watching and saying, "Way to go. They did this all for me."
Arik Einstein was one of a kind in Israeli culture, a singer, actor, and sports fan. The team he loved so much paid him respects, and for one evening became more than just a football club.
If any of you still thinks the decision to award Qatar with the right to host the 2022 World Cup was a good decision, maybe you should look back at the case of Cristian Chucho Benitez. The Ecuadorian player who played club football in Qatar died in July. According to the doctors, it was as a result of complications caused by a cardiac attack a day after his first game with Qatari club El Jaish. What caused this attack is yet officially unknown, but many point to the scorching heat in the country, with temperatures climbing up to 50 degrees in the summer, as a likely cause.
Ecuador is grieving today over the sudden death of Cristian Chucho Benitez, one of the most beloved football players in the country and the star of the Ecuadorian national team.
Pues nosotros llevamos poco tiempo conviviendo con Cristian, lo tuvimos en algún momento como rival y ahora
He was part of a generation of players that grew up together and put a great effort in. He was the heart of the national team, and more than his football qualities were his human qualities. He always wanted everyone to be in harmony, and he is an irreplaceable loss.
Con nosotros siempre fue muy leal, muy noble, y por eso lo que significa para el grupo, ¿no? Porque es una generación que han crecido juntos.
Chucho, just 27 years old, died yesterday in Qatar, where he joined local team El Jaish 3 weeks ago and just Sunday made his debut. It appears that he suffered a cardiorespiratory arrest due to extremely hot weather conditions and hours later died in the hospital. But Qatari authorities have yet to make a clear statement regarding the exact cause of his death.
Y algo muy importante, en estos momentos está en la Cancillería ecuatoriana.
This is very important. At the moment in the Ecuadorian Foreign Ministry is a Dr. Patricio Maldonado, who is receiving the assistance of our foreign ministry to organize a passport and visa to go and help the family, because the family of Cristian Benitez would like the Dr. Patricio Maldonado to travel with them.
Los familiares de Benitez quieren que viaje el Dr. Patricio Maldonado.
Benitez played in the Ecuador national team since 2005, and all around the country, thousands lit candles in his memory. More than just a football player, he was a symbol to many.
There are few opportunities to leave the cycle of poverty for our ethnic minorities, for example, Africans in sports. Afro-Ecuadorians have given us some great sporting glories, and the national football selections are overwhelmingly made of players of African descent. Chucho is one of these stories where, thanks to sports, he was able to escape miserable poverty.
In Mexico, where he played for Club America, eulogies were paid and a mass was held in Mexico City. Attendees then took part in a round of applause. The talented Benitez also played in England for Birmingham City, and the team will mark his death ahead of Saturday's championship match against Watford. This tragic death raises questions as to the playing conditions in Qatar, a country that is scheduled to hold the 2022 World Cup. Just 2 weeks ago, FIFA President Sepp Blatter suggested that the World Cup in Qatar will be played in the winter, claiming that the conditions in the summer will be too dangerous to the players. Unfortunately, it will be too little and too late for Christian Chucho Benitez.
Ecuador played this summer in the World Cup in Brazil, but without one of their major stars who helped them make it there, but died at the early age of 27. Nothing can bring Chucho Benitez back. Let's just hope his death raises again the concerns of playing in Qatar in the summer. That's it for this special edition. You can watch this and every other edition on our website at i24news.tv. We wish all our viewers a great day and happy holidays. Thank you for watching.